Even though the all-seeing eye and 13-step pyramid were proposed by non-Masons, the idea persists that the Great Seal of the United States is a cryptic token of Masonic power. And then there is this little parlor trick. M-A-S-O-N. More proof of ominous Masonic manipulation? Washington, D.C. is the American headquarters of Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Outside, the temple is merely monumental, but we're going inside into a hidden realm of images and icons, marble and myth.
We're entering the space that is most important in Freemasonry, the Lodge Room. I am Akram Elias, a Freemason, Washington, D.C. Central to the furniture of a lodge is the altar. This altar, on it you will find in an operating lodge the volume of the sacred law. What does that mean? It is basically a reference to whatever holy books that the members of the lodge believe in. In my mother lodge, for example, you will find the Holy Bible, the Tanakh, which is the Hebrew writings. You will find the Holy Quran for Muslims. You will find the books for those who believe in Buddha. It is at the altar that the initiate takes his obligation as a Freemason. You'll notice there are three, what we call three lesser lights here around the altar. When the candidate is being initiated, it is dark, and when he sees the light, those three lesser lights help him see what is here: the volume of the sacred law and the universal symbol of Freemasonry, the square and the compasses.
The compass reminds members to restrain their desires and encompass their deeds within a moral code. The square stands for honesty and fairness, and the trowel symbolizes the cementing of ties and the spreading of brotherly love.
In Freemasonry, we look at the trowel as the one instrument that spreads and lays fraternal brotherhood, which is the way through which we can come together as a band of brothers. Respect one another's religion, one another's opinion. That's the idea.
Central to all this symbolism is the letter G. But what does it stand for?
The letter G, representing the great geometer, the grand architect of the universe. That is, that supreme being, supreme intelligence, whoever, whatever that is, reflecting the beliefs, the diverse beliefs of the Brotherhood.
Dozens of cryptic gestures and complex handshakes allow Freemasons to identify each other and the degree each one has reached. Echoes of an age before business cards and Blackberries. This system of identification was originally used by operative stonemasons, the guild of workers on which the Freemasons modeled themselves.
The stonemason who is traveling from one building site to another, maybe between countries even, over hundreds of miles, who can't read and write, okay? How is he going to identify himself to someone else that he is a stonemason? Well, he's got a handshake, and this only shows that this stonemason to another stonemason, that they are stonemasons. We still like to use our handshake instead of a piece of plastic or a piece of paper.
The Freemasons used the skills of stonemasons to make two stone pillars which are still the centerpiece of every Masonic meeting hall in the world. But if modern masonry and its distinctive architectural designs originated in 1717 with a group of gentlemen at the Goose and Gridiron pub, how do we explain this? Many argue that the roots of modern Freemasonry took hold much earlier and far away from London. Just 7 miles from the capital city of Edinburgh, Scotland, stands the Chapel of Roslin, one of the most famous and mysterious churches in the world. The closer we look at Rosslyn, the more cryptic it becomes. This is far more than a mere church. It is a mystifying museum of secret sculpture and bizarre symbolism, an enigma, carved in stone. At the heart of the mystery are the mismatched pillars known as master and apprentice. Merely odd to an outsider, but instantly recognizable to any Freemason. The pillars seem to follow the Masonic code, but they were erected 300 years before the meeting of the Goose and Gridiron, at which modern Masonry was founded.
The builder of the chapel, William St. Clair, asked his master mason to carve a very ornate pillar. And the master mason looked at the drawing and said, it's impossible to carve that pillar without seeing the original. I cannot carve it from a mere drawing. So he got himself a holiday out of it, because he was given permission to travel to Italy, Rome in particular, to see the original. Having studied the original, he then travelled back to Rosslyn in order to carve the pillar.
On his return, he found that his apprentice had crafted a much more magnificent pillar.
He was astounded. Who on earth, he asked, who on earth carved this pillar? And an apprentice stepped forward, very proudly said, I did that. And of course the master mason, in a jealous rage, hit the apprentice and killed him stone dead. And he realized, the master mason, the terrible crime he had committed, so he took his own life.
Some historians believe that the design of these pillars suggests that their makers had knowledge of masonry. But masons today are quick to clear up any confusion in regard to the pillars of Rosslyn Chapel.
Well, first and foremost, I would say, and this will shock, I'm quite sure, a lot of people, there is no Masonic symbolism within Rosslyn Chapel. There's two kinds of masons. There are stonemasons and there are Freemasons, right? That lack of clarity as to what kind of mason is being discussed in numerous books and in, dare I say it, television programs, etc., allows people to become confused as to the subject. So, I hear frequently people here coming into the museum and library and quite proudly saying, we built Rosslyn Chapel, meaning we, the Masons, built Rosslyn Chapel. Well, of course, Masons built Rosslyn Chapel, but stonemasons, not Freemasons. And that's the essential difference.
Though Robert Cooper dispels any ideas that the Freemasons were involved with the building of Rosslyn, he contests the theory that Masonry was born in 1717.
We in Scotland can't accept that because of the written evidence that we have from 100 more years prior to that date. And as I said before, we can actually see people who are not stonemasons joining stonemasons' lodges. And it's quite clear, I think, when we look at the stonemason ceremonies, the actual phraseology that's used, the movements, the words, very specific words, which are still part of modern Freemasonry. So it's clear in that sense that they have transferred from the stonemasons' way of doing things into the modern Masonic way of doing things.
This is not the only alternative Masonic creation theory.
We like to think that Freemasonry began in ancient Egypt, if not before, with the builders and decorators of the pyramids.
Ultimately, it really doesn't matter where Freemasonry began, because that's an archaeological question. What really is important about Freemasonry is what it stands for, what it can do for humanity, what it can do for the members.
One interesting aspect of Freemasonry is that the members follow no central authority. There is no Masonic pope, no Grand Imam, and no archbishop to issue decrees and edicts.